Hi everyone, welcome to this demo. My name is Karen Rogers and I'm here with my colleague Lauren, and we are going to give you a short demo today on the TD Snap bilingual Spanish-English motor plan page set, which is a mouthful. But this is going to be just a very, very brief introduction to the page set. And tomorrow morning, Lauren and I are giving a longer session that will dive a little bit more into the development of the page set. So feel free to stop over at the Tobii Dynavox Learning Lounge tomorrow at about 8:30, and that's when our session's going on. Otherwise, go ahead and head over to the booth because it is pretty awesome, and we listened to a lot of people who are asking us for this bilingual page set as well. So before we get started and I show you the software, I just want to give you this brief overview if you're unfamiliar with Tobii Dynavox and TD Snap. TD Snap is a suite of communication pages and page sets that can meet a variety of different needs for communicators. And it's really meant to be flexible and intuitive in customization and design. So we really brought those same features into this bilingual page set as well. So when we talk about the bilingual motor plan page set, again, you can see here it's designed for those symbol-supported communicators with this thoughtful design and layout. Okay, thank you. This robust vocabulary system, again, intuitive, so you can make those customizations for your communicators that need those, and we'll talk about why that will be important within this page set specifically. And then this bilingual design to support this code switching and this toggle back and forth for our communicators. Okay, so when we talk about what is motor planning in AAC, if this feels like a new concept for you, I'm not going to go into the depths of it. But when we talk about motor planning within Tobii Dynavox and TD Snap, we talk about this idea of automaticity. And Lauren, my colleague over here, she likes to talk about how it gives, automaticity gives us and our communicators a little bit more cognitive real estate when it comes to communicating. It provides this really awesome opportunity for a communicator to not have to think as much about navigation and just provide this opportunity to communicate. So we get all of this knowing and remembering and navigating that equals this automaticity for it. So I'm going to go through these really quick so I can jump into the nitty-gritty of what we're after today. But these are the key features when it comes to the motor plan page set and the bilingual page set. So it provides this reduced navigation for communicators, this really robust vocabulary. You'll see that we have over 2,700 words when it comes to this the vocabulary on this page set and the English page set. You can get to any button that you're looking for in 3 hits or less, which is really important for our communicators. This generative language, so not only does it provide this opportunity for phrase-based, but I can also generate that language in those novel messages as well. It has a very familiar look with PCS symbols, and we get to use this vocabulary filter that is an awesome feature that can really help target language and vocabulary that you're really wanting to focus on with a communicator. You might want to use in a therapy session or in the classroom setting. All right, so we did a little bit of some background, and let's go ahead and jump into the features and tools within this motor plan bilingual Spanish-English page set. Say that 10 times over and you will get a workout. So this page set comes in a 30 and a 66 grid size, very similar and exactly, I guess, the same as the English page set as well. You get the same amount of vocabulary. It's just with the 66 grid size, it's going to be a little bit more spread out and an opportunity to add some other vocabulary for some of your communicators as well. So they both work the same navigation-wise. It's just this matter of how many buttons are on that grid size and supporting that communicator in that way. So you can see here up on the screen, we've highlighted in red. This is where your toggle is going to be back and forth. So this is how I toggle between English and Spanish. So it is important to note here that the primary language and the language that this page set was based upon is Spanish. So that's the primary language when we're talking about this bilingual page set. So the dashboard will be in Spanish, and you're toggling back and forth in the English language. A couple other features, and because I knew I'd get distracted being in this room, I want to make sure that I cover the things that we want to see. But the Spanish pages are almost identical to the English pages. The Spanish pages do use the same design, but they are tailored to meet some of those Spanish language needs. And we'll kind of talk about that because it doesn't correlate one-to-one, right? If you're a Spanish speaker, you know that English and Spanish don't correlate one-to-one all the time, and we need to use some of those verbs and conjugations in different ways. And so that's why we need to not have those match completely when you go from English to Spanish. I can also mix English and Spanish sentences and words in the message window, and it will be spoken with that correct voice. So at the end of today, I'll kind of show you where you can make sure that you can select that Spanish voice for when you want those Spanish words to be spoken. Okay, so this is the home page. So this is the Motor Plan 30 page set. Again, as I said, the 66 is the other option. The home page focuses on core words with access to fringe words. There's, again, about 2,700 words in either grid size. If you include inflectional forms and access through word forms, there's over 7,800 words. And we included the most common vocabulary that was used in home, school, and community. So we have the same things if you are familiar with the English page set. The quick fires, so that provides some quick and immediate engagement to communicate. We have the dashboard that provides different options to settings and access and how you can support your access method. Access to a keyboard to make sure that we're providing those opportunities to build upon language and literacy at all times, regardless of that level of our communicators. And again, maintaining that position across Spanish and English as much as possible. Okay. So we always get this question, and I actually asked this question too when the developers came to us and said, why don't all the words align between Spanish and English? So while I know some Spanish, I would not consider myself to be a fluent Spanish speaker. So I was like, well, this isn't going to make sense for a lot of our communicators and SLPs who might be using this. But most words do have the same location. But as I said earlier, both 100% alignment wasn't possible unless we translate because the language isn't reflected in that way, as I said earlier. So just kind of thinking about when I do toggle back and forth, things will shift just a little bit, but if you speak Spanish, it's just fine for you, and that's why we have this page set. When we also think about Spanish language, we think of this cultural language too. So some of the feedback that we also received was, my country or region has different words that we use for blank words, right? And so that's where we do encourage that customization. That's where we encourage whatever word we're considering and you to make those adjustments based on your communicators. So this Motor Plan page set was really targeted towards Spanish-speaking populations living in the United States. And because Tobii Dynavox is an international company, that was like a very big point that we made, is this isn't Spain Spanish, right? This is more targeted towards those individuals who are in the United States and they are speaking Spanish. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk a little bit about is verb conjugation. And so typically in the Spanish language, we don't always have to use those pronouns because that is reflected in the verb that we're using, right? And so we do understand that as communicators are learning language, they do want to denote that. And so there are opportunities, and I'll go ahead and I'll jump into the software. Again, I'm telling you this in a very, very brief amount of time, so please feel free to head over to the booth or come to Lauren and I's session, and you will actually hear a little bit from the developers on this topic. So if I select yo here, you can see that those verb conjugations change, and I can go here. So yo did not go into that message window, and I'll do that again so you just can kind of see. That didn't go in, I clicked it, but you can see that those verbs changed. And but if I select it again, it will go into that if I want to make that emphasis for my communicators. So I can go yo quiero, and then it will go back to that general form of those verbs. Okay? While I'm in the software, I'll just show you a couple other things as we go back and forth. So here is that toggle that I talked to you about earlier, that I can toggle back and forth between English and Spanish. So you can see here, I gotta start over and tell you, on the screen earlier I was on a 30 grid size, and now you might see a lot more buttons because now I'm on a 66. So if that feels a little bit like, oh, that was a lot more, then that is true. That is a lot more because I am on a 66 grid size right now. Okay, so I select my pronoun, and you can see here that all of these are the same in English, but if I toggle back, they generally stay in the same place. The other part here is I can also, if I go to yo and I say want, I can, oops, that's not what I wanted, I'm so sorry. If I go to these word forms, that's also where I can change those verb tenses, if that's something I'm working on with a communicator, and I think that that is a really important thing if that's one of those areas of communication and language that we are trying to focus on too for those communicators. Okay. All right. So if we're going to build some sentences, so you saw a few of those different things when I was in the software, and it did take that motor plan approach, right? So anytime that I selected a, here, I'll go back and show you again. If I go back into the software, and I say, I want, and then I have these opportunities for any of these other things that I want. So I want a drink, and I'm going to have some apple juice, right? So I'm always going to, it follows that same motor plan of I'm always going to bounce back to the home page, similarly to that English page set. Really the biggest differences in this bilingual page set is that it just takes on the characteristics of the Spanish language, and it provides that flexibility to do that. Is anyone here familiar with the motor plan, the current motor plan page set? So while I'm in the software, I'll just show you too. The vocabulary filter is going to work the same. So I'm going to turn the vocabulary filter on. And what the vocabulary filter does is it provides this really nice way for us to focus on particular vocabulary. So if I have core words, for instance, that I really want a communicator to pay attention to, I can highlight some of those core words or any of the words that I really want. So if I want my communicator to focus on these core words, I can do that. And then those are going to be the words that are there. Okay, I have to also tell you that if I toggle over to English, I'm going to have to pick those core words as well. Does that make so? I'm going to come back to the vocabulary filter, and I'm going to choose. I can't remember the words that I chose, but I think those are the ones I chose for Spanish. But I'm going to have to go ahead and I'm going to have to choose those again. So it's not going to automatically switch over. Again, I asked them why not. They said because, again, it's not one-to-one. So all of those words are not going to translate one-to-one. So it's important for that person who's supporting the communicator to be able to select those words in both of those languages. Okay. And then the last thing I will show you while we have a little bit of time is how you can get there. So I am in the page set, and I'm going to go to this here. If I start over, why don't we start over? I'm going to go to new user, get started. And what is really important for you to note too is, like I said, you will want to choose a Spanish voice to go along with that. So my communicator needs symbol supports. I'm going to do touch enter. I will select motor plan. And then here is where you'll now find those bilingual page sets. So if you're really familiar with Snap, you may have already seen this, but this is where I'll select those. And then I have this opportunity, my license is not attached to this, but that's also where you would go in and choose your voices. Okay, so this is a very brief overview, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the differences and some of the key features in Motor Plan. Again, we do have a lot of other things to add, so feel free to either stop by the booth, you can ask Lauren and I, or you can head to our session tomorrow morning. It is bright and early, right at 8:30, so feel free to join us if you're interested. And if you're not interested in that early morning, again, you can come and talk to both Lauren and I, or you can head over to the booth. Does anyone have any questions right now? Okay, thanks everyone.